and welcome to Video DNA, where the English is bad and the tutorials are good. I'm Irad, and today I'm super excited to show you how the ArrowHead script for After Effects works. If you haven't seen the promo, check this out. Whoa, yeah, it can do some crazy stuff. But anyway, this tutorial is supposed to show you the things that it can do. And if you want to skip, you can just go to the creation. We're going to see how we creating, updating the arrows, using the effect, using custom layers, and the location nulls. So it's all color coded so you can just scrub through the video and see what you need. Anyway, first of all, I'm gonna open the ArrowHead script and I can dock it by dragging it, but I'm just gonna control and drag it right over here because I like it as a window. So first thing ArrowHead can do is create arrows, and you don't actually need to select anything but a comp, and it will actually create a new arrow from nothing, which you can play with later. Once you create an arrowhead, you can edit it as any other shape layer. You can change the stroke width, you could change the stroke color, you can change even the fill. You can actually take the fill and remove it, and so you'll have transparent arrowheads, but you can also sample the background so you have even more nice result. So let's create a new arrowhead, and once you create an arrowhead, you can also see that you have this 4 groups: the head, the tail, the line, and the data. You can change everything inside them, almost everything inside them. Like if you want to have like a line, but you want its stroke to have a dash line, you can have that, which is pretty cool. And you can do this for the stroke, you can remove the stroke, you can change anything about them. But remember that the arrowhead layer for the script is recognized by these 4 groups, so you cannot actually change their names or add anything more at the moment. Anyway, this is not the only thing that it does. It can actually take any kind of vector shape as long as you have only one shape in it. So now I have this cool arrow. And you can use even closed shapes like this one, but this time After Effects is gonna actually, ArrowHead is gonna yell at you because ArrowHead actually need a Bezier curve, so it actually tells you what to do, which is pretty cool. I'm gonna go to the rectangle, right click on the rectangle path, and I'm gonna convert it to Bezier path. Now I can create an arrow based on it. And if you want to see everything, if you're designing it, it's pretty important that you will see it correctly. So you can toggle off the shape path visibility, or you can just go to the view options and check everything off. And I actually use a lot the shortcut of it, Control-Shift-H, which can actually toggle the view. So I'm just gonna toggle it off for now. You can actually create an arrow from a mask. So I'm just gonna draw a mask, and then I'm gonna create or update, and as a default it can also update and create it through the mask. So if you don't like to use the mask, you can always check it off. I don't know, maybe you have a mask on your arrow and you don't want it to be seen. I don't know, just toggle it off. And the coolest thing about this, that if you create an arrow and you want to use a shape from a different software, like let's say like Illustrator, I'm gonna take this one and I'm gonna copy it, and then I'm gonna go back to After Effects and I'm gonna paste it. I can actually update it with the mask, so now I have this cool arrow, which is pretty cool. And I can even go to Photoshop and take, I don't know, maybe a shape, and now I can select it with the path selection tool. I'm gonna copy it, Control C, and then I'm gonna paste it in After Effects, and it's gonna reveal itself as a mask. So now I can update it again, which is pretty cool. And now let's say that you want a letter or two. From here or from After Effects, doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna create outlines from this text, and I'm just gonna select, I think, these three paths. And I'm gonna create an arrow layer. I'm gonna paste it. And again, Control T, and I'm gonna scale them up. And the cool thing about ArrowHead, that it deletes the mask after it's been used or been added. So I'm just gonna take the mask to the none mode, so it will not subtract anything. And I'm just gonna create an update with the mask checked on. And now I have this arrow. I'm gonna duplicate it, press again, duplicate, and press another time. And now I have these three cool layers that I can animate, which you've seen in the promo. And it looks something like this. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So let's move on. Another thing before I'm going to show you how to update it, you can actually use any curve with it as long as there is one. ArrowHead can handle only one path at a time. So if you have two paths on the same shape layer, it's gonna yell at you. But if you create two different layers, you can actually update them or create them at once. So this is a pretty cool feature. So you can just create the lines that you need, and after that you just select all the layers and create them, which is pretty awesome if you have a lot of arrows in your design. So let's talk a bit about updating the arrows. So we have the arrow layers, and I want to change one or a few of them. So I can double click and maybe drag this one over here. It's gonna be ugly, but I just want to show you how to update things. Even after you create it, it's very simple to update them, even if you've gone through the animation. So in the first run, you will see that they are not updated. So I'm gonna select the layers that I need to update. Just gonna press again, create an update arrow button, and that's it. That's actually it. And it's pretty ugly, but it's doing the work. Anyway, another thing, from time to time, maybe if you put an effect, or maybe if you take all your arrows and parent them to a null, from time to time they can go out of sync. So there is no problem for you to select all the layers and press the create update arrowhead button, and it will sort the arrow layers and update only the one that it needs, which is pretty awesome. Alternatively, you can update exactly as you create them. So I mean that you can draw a curve, a new curve, and just update. And you can take a shape, select this one, maybe duplicate it so we'll not lose the last one, and create this star. And I will remember to go to the polystar and to the polystar path, right click, convert it, and then update it again. And you can take a mask, maybe from a different software. I will create it here and paste it. Maybe create a nice little duck. I'm actually an expert in creating ducks. And I'm saying this as I create the duck. And then just pow, you have this one. And the cool thing about it is the animation changed as well to the new path, which is pretty powerful. And that's taking us to the next subject, which is creating the animation. Let's go to the effect. So we have an effect that comes with it. You don't need to place it. Every time you create an arrow layer, you have the effect. So what this effect does is actually animating and controlling the arrow head and tail shapes. So let's start with the basic stuff. So first of all, I can change the end or the start. It actually works like trim paths or any line-based animation in After Effects. So you should be familiar with it. So I can change the start and the end, or the head or the tail, and I can actually offset them, which is pretty cool. And if I have like a closed shape, I can check on the offset loop, so it will always loop, which is pretty awesome. But you can do it also with open arrows. So if I'm gonna check on the offset loop and I'm just gonna create just a little bit of space between them, I can actually offset them to infinity and beyond. And even after I animate it, let's animate this just a little bit, I can actually go and change how this looks or how this behaves and change everything here. Just update it and it works perfectly. So you don't need to be scared to update things after you animate it because everything works smoothly with everything. Let's talk about the head and tail. So the end is actually the head and the start is actually the tail. It makes sense now, right? Yeah, I thought so. Anyway, so I can change the head shape and I can change it to a few things. I can change it to polygon, triangle, arrowhead, arrow tail, open arrow, which to see it, I need to turn off the fill. And now I can see this, which is pretty cool. And let's take it back to white. And I'm gonna go to the heart and to the line, which is pretty awesome if you need to make some measurements, I think. Anyway, you can actually turn on the head-tail symmetry, and every change that you will make to the head will also be interpreted to the tail. You won't see it here, but you will actually see it over here. So now it's just like a big, beautiful smile. So let's go through the polygon. So the polygon actually has its own options. Like the points, I can maybe turn it to a square or a pentagon, and I can just drag it until I'm gonna get a circle. But I can actually change the radius from here and maybe change the roundness, which is pretty awesome. Yeah, it's pretty nice. That's the polygon options. So you can actually create any polygon that you want. Let's talk about the anchor point. From time to time, you will want this to go maybe up or down or maybe sideways, so you can actually change it. You will see later how it impacts when you attach layers. You can change the overall size. You can do this to the triangle, the arrowhead, and the line, which is, I think it's the best. And you can actually, let's take a polygon with 4 points, and we're gonna change the radius to 20. Maybe take the size just a little bit up, and I can see that I can change the angle of it, so I can get the angle that I want, and I can actually turn off the auto rotate, so it will not rotate by itself, which is pretty awesome if you don't want the arrowhead or tail to rotate. And you can change the rotation as well manually, which is pretty cool. So this is actually the same for the tail, and I can take the arrow tail and now I can animate them both, which is actually pretty awesome. So I hope this covers up everything in the effect. So let's say that you really like an animation that you made. I don't know, maybe offset like this, and the offset loop is on, and I have this animation. Let's say I want to take this animation and place it, all the setting that I have here, exactly on the shape layer, on this one. So I'm gonna take the arrowhead, I'm gonna copy it, and I can do this to multiple layers, by the way. So I'm gonna take one over here, and then I'm just gonna paste it. And if it's out of sync, I'm just gonna create an update arrowhead, and that's it. I have animation for everyone, which is pretty awesome. So I think that covers up the arrowhead effect. And now to the most important thing. What happens if you need another arrowhead or tail, which the effect does not have? You need to attach some layers. Okay, let's talk about custom layers, how I attach, duplicate, flip, or release them. So first of all, let's attach the layers. I want this both to be the head and the tail. So I'm just gonna select the three of them, the arrow and both of the head and tail layers. And I'm gonna press the attach custom layer button. That's it. That's all you need to do, which is pretty awesome. And if you select only one of them, it's gonna duplicate them. And you can select this solid with a mask. And actually, now when it's 3D, I can select both of them. Right click on one of them and go to transform, auto orient, and orient towards camera. and now they will always be facing the camera. So I have like this 3D angled cool thing, but you see that the old arrowheads are still there. So I'm gonna just go to the head, take it off, and maybe I'm gonna press the symmetry so it's gonna turn off the tail too instead of getting the side. So this is pretty awesome. Let's talk about what you want and what you don't want to do. Let's release them for a minute. Yeah, this is the release button. It's actually releasing the layers, which is pretty handy. I'm gonna put it right back here and scale it up, and let's do this again. Well, let's say we attach some layers and we're not happy with the result. I mean, like, we want it to rotate. So there is no problem that you will rotate it by yourself, but you don't really want to move it. You just want to move its anchor point, which actually controls how it rotates through the line. Because if you move it, you actually move the anchor point, and the rotation angle will not be as good. So just remember not to move it, move the anchor point. And if I have this set and I really like it and I wanted to use it again, I don't want to mess up all the links that we have here with the, with all the expressions and all the other things that the script does. So if I want to duplicate this, I actually have a duplicate set button. So I'm just gonna select all the layers and I'm gonna duplicate it. That's it. That's actually it. I'm gonna drag it up. That's going to be above, and it's actually color coding every set, so it's going to be very easy to locate them and manage them. So this is pretty awesome. I have 3 of them. Let's rotate this one, and let's rotate this one as well. And because it's the parent of those layers, it's going to be really easy to control them, because you actually just need to select the arrowhead layer, and that's it. So now I have these 3 layers, which is pretty crazy. So let's delete all of those and let's talk about replacing, flipping and replacing. I want to replace the location. I want the head to be instead of the tail and the tail to be instead of the head. So I can select them both and just press the flip replace, which is pretty cool, but it can also do something pretty cool as this. Let's just take like a solid layer, and I want to replace this solid with this shape or head or tail. So I'm going to select them both, and pow, they were just replaced, even color coded, so it's going to be easier to select. Let's turn this off and let's turn on the tail, and now I want to replace both of them. If the arrowhead layer is selected, this button will actually replace the head with the tail, and that's it. That's all you need to do. So it does a few things. It flips, replaces, and not only the attached layers, but also the effect itself. Okay, but again, you won't see the results here. You will see it over here. Now the head is the tail and the tail is the head. So if you had some attached layers that you actually don't need anymore, let's say I don't want this one anymore to be attached, I can always release them. So, but if you don't need to use them, you don't actually need to press this button. You can actually just delete them, and that would be it. So this one I'm gonna release because I like it. It's pretty nice. Pac-Man. Pac-Man actually started all of this, right? Computers, stuff, us having jobs. Okay, so now let's talk about the location nulls. The location nulls are actually nulls that you can attach to the layer, and if you have animation or if you don't, they will be controlled by them. But what's so special about them is that they have 2 points, a 2D null location and a 3D null location, which means that if you want to attach, let's say, a 2D effect, which here we have the lens flare, the basic one of After Effects, you can actually go press Alt click and then take the head null. I actually don't need the tail, the head null, just the tail null, so I'm going to delete it. And now I'm going to drag it to the 2D null location, and it's going to actually give us the perfect location like this. And I can actually even take this 3D particle layer. So I'm going to go to the XY position and Z position, and I'm going to press E to reveal only them. And now I can take the X and Y and take it to the 3D null location, and the Z to the Z of the 3D null location. And now I have this animation. So let's say I want to maybe turn the opacity down so I can continue and edit it. And maybe let's just go to the particles and go to the effects builder and maybe take, I don't know, let's take the light streak blue, and I'm gonna apply, and now I have this effect that is attached by the null. Well, I know what you're thinking, that we can do this also with a 3D light, but a 3D light to edit is not as simple as this. So I can actually draw a curve and update it. I can actually draw a real curve or use a mask. I just need to paste it, and that's it. And I get this effect. So if I attach a lot of things to it, it's gonna be pretty useful to use it again and again and again. And you can create, you know, if you have more than a few minutes, you can even create something awesome like this. Yeah, this is pretty awesome, and I'm gonna go through it in the next tutorial, which is gonna come soon. It's gonna be about techniques with ArrowHead script. Well, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope it's gonna help you walk through ArrowHead. Make sure you subscribe to us to get the latest news to the mail or Facebook or Instagram or our YouTube channel. Do everything, you know, subscribe everything, connect, totally. So you're gonna get the latest news as fast as you can. Anyway, I'm Ilanta Bib. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna see you next time.